Hi, boys and girls. Do you even recognize Mrs. Clock today? Well, today I'm in my best dress. I have on my fancy hat, my fancy scarf, and my fancy coat. I wonder why I'm wearing things that are so fancy. Well, can you guess? Do you know any of the stories that might have the word fancy in it? It also has a rhyming word, like fancy Nancy. Well, today, Fancy Nancy is fancy day in room 1A. So she is being fancy in her classroom. So I thought I would get my fancy clothes on to read you the story because it's a gray, gloomy week in Nancy's classroom. But Nancy thinks of a great way to cheer up her friends. Let's sit back and read Fancy Nancy's Day in Room 1. I am peering out my classroom window. Peering is a word for looking. And it's rained all week and we can't play outside. And we've had some rainy days too where we can't go out and play. Miss Glass is reading a story. Everybody looks gloom and gloomy. That's a fancy way to say we're in a bad mood. So she puts down the book. Class, we need something fun to look forward to, Miss Glass says. Does anyone have any ideas? We all sit and ponder, and that means we're thinking really hard. Claire says, let's go bowling. Robert says, let's go see a movie. Miss Glass says, well, those are interesting ideas, but let's think of something we can do in school. At home, I ponder while I pick out a dress for tomorrow. I never feel gloom or gloomy in this fancy dress. Being fancy is fun. It makes me happy. Ooh la la. All of a sudden, I have an idea. My pondering has paid off, and pondering means thinking, wondering. The next day at school, I say, what if we have a fancy day? We can wear fancy clothes and eat fancy food and use fancy manners. Lionel holds up his pinky. Oh, darling, he says, you must try the baked worms. Miss Glass looks stern. Now that means now is not the time to be silly. And that's what she meant when she had that stern look. I think this is a great proposal, Miss Glass says. She explains that a proposal is an idea. I think this is a great proposal, she said. Everybody likes my idea too, even Lionel. Well, next Monday will be fancy day, Miss Glass says. We can start preparing now. And preparing means get ready. We made fancy placemats. We made fancy napkin rings from pipe cleaners. And we also made fancy crowns. Lionel makes the points on his crown look like a bloody shark teeth. He is such a goofball. At snack time, we put napkins on our laps. We chew with our mouths closed, and when Robert burps, he says, pardon me. And that's kind of like saying, excuse me. It's another word. I teach everyone how to say thank you in French. It's merci. You say it like this. Merci. Oh, mercy. Let's all try it. Merci. And that evening, I tell my family about Fancy Day. It was my proposal. That means it was my idea. Over the weekend, Bree and I baked pancakes in a fancy way for Fancy Day. And on Sunday night, I look through my wardrobe, which is her clothing, and that's fancy for all my clothes, and I find the most fancy dress. I also wear boas, bracelets, tons of necklaces, lace gloves, sparkly clips, and I'm fancy all the time. So I must be super duper fancy on Fancy Day. On Monday morning, I am stunned. That means surprised. On Monday morning, I am stunned. Everyone looks so posh, but where's Miss Glass? Why isn't she here yet? And look at all the boys and girls. They put on their fanciest clothes, hats. All of a sudden, Miss Glass rushes in. Her tooth broke this morning, and the dentist already fixed her up. She is fine now, but she is not fancy. Miss Glass looks startled. That means surprised in a bad way. Oh no, she cries. I left all my fancy stuff at home. We tell Miss Glass not to feel bad. You can have my clips, I say. And Bree offers her her boa, and that's like a necklace. And everyone helps Miss Glass. It's like playing with a giant doll. In no time, she is super posh. Soon it is party time. Miss Glass says, we must thank Nancy for Fancy Nancy Day. Let me say that again. We must thank Nancy for Fancy Day. The kids all lift their cups of lemonade. Everyone's pinky is up, but no one says thank you. They all shout, mercy. The end. And on here are some of Fancy Nancy's words that you can look at, that we heard from the story. I sure had fun dressing up fancy. Maybe you could do something fancy today, whether it be dressing up fancy, maybe making something that's fancy, or just having fun. Okay, I had fun reading Fancy Nancy with you. See you soon. Love you, boys and girls.